Shalom. You reached the He Pray channel. My name is Isaac McWath. First and foremost, I want to say, Call Halayim, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Hard to Rock, who are referred to as Great Millstone, where I learned the truth from and who rule well. Hard to Rock meaning the way. We were calling ourselves the way, or followers of the way, not Christians. Salutations to the Backyard, the elect, 144,000. That's 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. 12 tribes of Israel consisting of so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America. 144,000 being the governing body within the one-third. The rest of the one-third comprises of elect men, women, and children. Shalom to you Israelites scattered due to the diaspora and also the triangular trade. So our people come looking like different ethnicities, having various complexions. So this is not a black thing. We're not the black Hebrew Israelites. We're just Hebrew Israelites. Shalom to those that died in its truth. It says the dead should be raised up first. Those that will be accompanying Yahweh Shah on his return, including our King, King Mahashah, who is King David. As always, it's an honor and privilege, honor and blessing to continue to do this work. The water Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Harakadash answer my prayers and permitted me to do such. Babu Kashal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Harakadash. Allowed us to be an edifying lesson to at least one member of the Backyard, the elect. So, this video is basically inspired by, some back and forth that I'll be, basically doing with certain individuals on these comment boards. Not necessarily because of them or I'm trying to wake them up. It's just to sharpen my own sword, because I do want to be able to swing that sword, So one thing or one thought that inspired this video is that, these heathens really think that they built this world on their own, not knowing that this world was only built for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah to destroy it. So the topic title is His Determination is to Gather the Nations. So I want to go to Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8, it says, Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey, which the prey is these heathen nations. For my determination, so his determination and our patience, because he's instructed us to wait, is to gather the nations. To do what? That I may assemble the kingdoms. So this whole time, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah has been gathering these nations and building them up. To do what? To pour upon them my indignation, his righteous anger, even my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Right, which is that nuclear fire and also the fire from the chariots. So there's nothing that these heathens have done on their own, despite their pride. And guess what? Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty look before a fall. On the co-pilot says, My determination is to gather the nations, to pour upon them my indignation. Lashuan Kodash, Paleophonetic, Kapatash, Kapataz, Kapatash equals desire, determination, la asa, together, Gowayan, nations, right? Etymology, kapatas, kapatash, deliberate intention, purposeful plan. So this whole thing was a purposeful plan. ASAP, collect, assemble. Naming commentary, Yahweh isn't gathering nations for peace talks. He's gathering them for judgment. The same nations he allowed to rise in power are being pulled into one place so he can crush them collectively. So all you heathen nations are about to be crushed, you know? So it's probably going to be a short video. I'll just start at the top of Obadiah. This is verse 1. It says, the vision of Obadiah, thus said Yahweh concerning Edom, which Edom is you so-called white people. You started calling yourselves white in 1681, through the course of the 1600s due to the Bacon rebellions. We had heard a rumor, which is a report from Yahweh and an ambassador. That first ambassador was President of Egypt, Abdul Nazir, who said, how did the Jews lead black but come back white? It's sent among the heathen. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle. So all these nations have been prepared to go to war with America, to rise up against America in battle. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And that's the I guess you could say, sentiment that, these people have toward, Esau and his rule. Even Esau is pointing fingers at another group of Edomites, Amalek, saying that the world hates them. Well, the world hates you Edomites here in America too. It says, the pride of thy heart have deceived thee. And these people walk with immense pride, not knowing that judgment is at the door. It says, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. And they even call themselves cave dwellers in the form of Caucasian, which if you go to Job, the 30th chapter, it talks about how they were when they were in the caves, whose habitation is high. That's why they have these skyscrapers and high rises, because it reminds them of the Caucasus. It reminds them of the South Jordan mountain range. It says that saith in his heart, in his mind, who shall bring me down to the ground? He doesn't think he could be stopped, despite he never went in a war outside of the Western Hemisphere. Verse 4 says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle is one of the the highest flying bird, and is very proud, and it kills for sport. And it just so happens that he takes it as a mascot, the bald eagle, right? It says, and though thou set thy nest, which is his defenses, his space force, his weaponry that he puts in outer space, among the stars, thence will I bring thee down. Right. He started suffering decline ever since the Apollo missions, particularly the year 1969. Saith Yahweh, if these come to thee of robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? The grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Right, because you have to leave 10%. And a thief is not going to, take everything. They're just going to take what's valuable to them. It says, how are the things that Esau, the so-called white man, searched out? Right, because now you have the internet, now you have AI, and above all that, you have the seals that were broken, and now you have this truth. You have the Ruach HaKodesh, to give certain men wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and that spirit to be addicted to research. It says, how are his hidden things sought up? So now the truth is rising to the top. At first, it was nothing but his lies, but now the truth is overshadowing his lies. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Yeah, the men that were in cahoots with him. Going back to Psalms, the 83rd or 82nd chapter. Now even his own allies are turning their back against him. Like NATO and the EU. It says the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. Right? So those that he thought were his allies are deceiving him and prevailed against thee, and they're going to prevail against him by shooting their missiles on him. They that eat thy bread, that deal with that petrodollar, right? Because your bread goes into your money, your table, have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So the Most High is going to take away the understanding in Esau. Shall I not in that day, say of Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom? Right? So they're going to be the ones with low IQ. And understanding out of the mount, which mount represents government, of Esau, and thy mighty men, O Teman, which Teman goes back to, Germany, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. And that's going to be due to World War III. And this is the reason it says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob. Jacob is you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous. Shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Because after 1,000 years of slavery, these so-called white people are going to be exterminated, man. So going back to Copilot, says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, I will bring thee down. Lashuan Kodash, Ayah la Harad, Ayah, exalt, lift up, Harad, bring down, cast down. Etymology, Ayah, rise, ascend, be lifted, Harad, forcefully lower, humiliate. And you Edomites are going to be humiliated. Laban commentary, Yahweh lets nations rise, military, economic, technological, only to drop them at the height of their pride. Their rise is part of his setup for their fall. And that's the only reason why you nations are in power, man. It's nothing that you did on your own. You're suffering from biblical prophecy. Because these damn devils really think that they did it all. They ain't do shit. This is Daniel chapter 4, verse 17. It says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. So Yahweh rules in the kingdom of men. It says, and give it to whomsoever he will. So he can give it to anybody. He just so happened to give it to Esau due to that blessing. But now he's going to remove Esau out of power and give it to his beloved, which is Jacob. It says, and set up over it the bases of men. And Esau is the basis of men. But he thinks he's more than what he is. Going back to Copilot, it says the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and setteth up over it whom he will. Lashuan Kodash, Yahweh Mashallah, Malkotha, Makatha, Mashalan, rule, govern, Malkutha, kingdom, or Makatha, kingdom, dominion, etymology, Mashal, to control, to direct, Malkath, realm, empire. Uh, Layman commentary. It says nations don't rise because they're smart or strong. Yahweh appoints who rules. He builds kingdoms up like a day on a wheel, shaping them for the exact destruction he planned. You know? And right now, America is in its destruction. Right? This is Paul speaking to the Israelites in Rome. This is Romans chapter 9, verse 22. It says, what if the Most High willing to show his wrath? So this is the reason why he's doing it. He wants to show his wrath, to put fear back into the world, and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. And Esau are those vessels of wrath fitted for destruction, man. Right? And that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, have he had afore prepared unto glory, which is the elect, right? Going to Copilot, it says vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. Lashon Kodash, Kal Yah Masha Kath, Kal Yah, Kal Yah, vessels, objects, or Kal Ayah, vessel object, uh, Masha Kath, destruction, ruin. Etymology, Kal Yah, container, instrument, Mashkath, ruin, annihilation. Name and commentary. Some nations are literally built for destruction. Their military power, wealth, and pride are part of Yahweh's design. He fits them like a weapon he intends to break. And you know, these Edomites are about to get broken now. And nobody's going to be able to help them. Nobody's going to deliver them, you know. This is the nations will be judged. Joel chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity, another word for captivity is slavery, of Yahweh and Yerushalayim, right? I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, Yahweh's judgment, and will plead, meaning he gonna destroy you with them there for my people and my heritage, Yasharallah, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Right, with the whole Amalek and those Ishmaelites in Palestine, right? Going back to Copilot, says, I will gather all nations and will plead with them there. Lashuan Quadash, Asap, gather, Shaphat, judge, right? Etymology, Asap equals collect into one place, which that one place is the Levant. Shaphat, execute judgment, sentence. Layman commentary, Yahweh gathers nations into conflict zones, Middle East, alliances, global tension, so he can judge them publicly. Their buildup is the bait, their destruction is the purpose, right? So, summary: how Yahweh built nations up to destroy them. He raises nations, he lets them exalt themselves, he fits them for destruction, he gathers them together, he judges them in one place. Right? It says their power is not a blessing, it's the setup for their downfall. So what Esau got going on in his mind, thinking that he's so great and he thinks he accomplished so much, he doesn't understand that it's the Most High that allowed him to reach such heights, only to drop him on his fucking head, man. You know, so with that, I hope at least one brother of the elect was edified. It's going to be a short video. I'm going to say shalom.